These are the top cybersecurity skills to learn as a beginner. So for anyone who is trying to get into cybersecurity, it's definitely hard to decide which skills that you want to learn first, especially for the ones that are most important as an entry-level cybersecurity professional. So hopefully this list can give you an idea of the most popular skills to learn, as well as the ones that employers are most likely to value. Number 1 on this list is knowledge of basic command line tools. So as someone new to cybersecurity, you may not have any experience using the command line, but I would definitely want to get familiar with it, as there are many tools that are used in cybersecurity that only live on the command line, which means that they do not have a GUI or any kind of web-based application that you can use outside of knowing the actual commands. There are different command line tools for both Windows and Linux. I would start with Linux if you're just starting out, because Linux is typically going to be the go-to / most popular for cybersecurity professionals. But of course, that doesn't mean that you aren't going to be using any Windows command line tools, as well as the fact that there are equivalents for many tools that live on the Linux command line that can be used in the Windows command line. And you typically might have to Google some kind of equivalent, but there most likely will be some. Outside of the tools that actually live on the command line, there are also many different basic commands to know, whether you're changing directories, making a file, copying a file, opening files. All these basic things are going to be a lot easier and smoother when you're able to know the basic commands that help you navigate the command line. Personally, I am by no means an expert on command line tools or even basic command line, but I do think that at least having the foundational knowledge or basic commands down to be able to do things without Googling every single time you have to do something on the command line, it can definitely be very helpful. And a few examples of popular command line tools used in cybersecurity are Mmap, Metasploit, LDAP domain dump, as well as many others. And the second thing on this list I wanted to cover is basic operating systems and networking skills. So this may or may not be a pretty obvious one, but in my opinion, I think that this is going to be the foundations or the building blocks of your cybersecurity skills. And what I mean by foundational operating systems or networking knowledge, this really does go back to computer architecture and knowing, for example, how a computer works, knowing how computers communicate with other devices, whether it be other computers or servers or any other piece of hardware / software that lives on the World Wide Web. This also includes things like network protocols, all of their different ports and port numbers. In terms of networking concepts, things from local area networks to routers versus switches to firewalls, as well as the different types of firewalls. All of these things encompass the foundational knowledge of network security and networking concepts in general. And even if you're not using them on a regular basis in your day job, it's going to be very helpful when it comes into conversations about networking, because regardless of where you work in cybersecurity, things like that are still going to be fundamental to your day-to-day job. For example, if you spin up a VM machine, where is it going to live in your network? Because depending on where it's actually located in your network, it may or may not be able to communicate with certain applications, whether it's internally to your network or maybe it's on the extranet. It really all depends on how it's set up. And these things you don't always think about, and you don't always know to think about them unless you have that basic foundational knowledge around that network architecture side. As well as for operating systems, as well as computer architecture, knowing the differences between the different operating systems out there, understanding their functions and their nuances, as well as knowing how the different components of an actual computer or a device works together, from the hardware pieces to the firmware to the operating system to the software that lives on the computer itself. Again, these aren't things that you're going to be needing as knowledge for every single day of your job, but they are just going to be very helpful in helping provide that background for when you do go into conversations with different teams or different stakeholders that will rely on that foundational knowledge that you may need. And if you're just starting out in cybersecurity, I would recommend the SimpliLearn postgraduate program in cybersecurity. So the SimpliLearn postgraduate program in cybersecurity, it's really awesome to help you get a kickstart on getting the skills required for a cybersecurity career. One of the most notable things about the postgraduate program is the fact that it has modules from the MIT Schwarzman College of Computing as well as the EC Council. The program itself is completed completely online, and it lasts for about 6 months with 5 to 10 hours a week. So it definitely has very flexible time commitments if you're someone who is looking to join a bootcamp but may not have necessarily 40 hours a week of time to dedicate to an online program. It has a 4.5 star rating on Course Report as well as a 4.5 star rating on SwitchUp, and it was rated the best cybersecurity certification bootcamp in 2021 by Course Report. As part of this program, you're connected with various different communities, including the MIT CSAIL community, EC Council, and covering 4 industry case studies covered by MIT professors. The program provides you 25 hands-on projects 8 times more interaction in live online classes, capstone projects in 3 different cybersecurity domains, as well as master classes from MIT faculty, which is definitely something that I want to highlight because this is not something I see in most boot camps that I've reviewed in the past. You also get a EC Council learning kit and exam voucher for anyone who may eventually want an EC Council certification like the CSA or the Certified SOC Analyst certification, as well as one of their most popular certifications, which is the CEH, or the Certified Ethical Hacking certification. You also get 6 months free access to the CEH online labs, as well as 24 hacking challenges from EC Council, which already is a lot of resources provided as part of this program outside of the core program itself. And now going into the learning path, the program starts off with the orientation and then going into designing systems to secure applications, networks, and devices. You can also preview and see the details of each of the sections that you'll be going through in your course. Building a hacker mindset and defending against future attacks, designing, engineering, and managing the security posture of an organization, cybersecurity technology, application, and policy, and then followed by your cybersecurity capstone project, which takes you through a real-world industry-aligned problem, which, by the way, will look awesome on your resume, as well as be an awesome experience point to talk about in future interviews. And last but not least, you also have an elective, which is the MIT Cybersecurity Masterclass, which is conducted by an instructor from the MIT SCC, covering insights about advancements in cybersecurity and essential skills needed to become an expert in this domain. You can also directly download the program syllabus if you're interested in learning more in depth. You can also find a list of the skills that are actually covered in the program itself, including advanced hacking concepts, mobile and web technologies, security and risk management, software development security, IDSs, firewalls, network security, which also touches on one of my first topics I mentioned in this video, cryptography, as well as security assessment and testing. There are also more details on the course itself, including the faculty, types of industries and companies that students go into, learner reviews, industry trends for the cybersecurity career market itself, which is definitely rapidly growing and needs many more cybersecurity professionals. You can also find more details on the application process, as well as information on eligible candidates. The program itself doesn't require a bachelor's degree, and you can apply with just a high school diploma or equivalent. The certification is $3,000, which is a fraction of the cost of a typical cybersecurity bootcamp, and they also have financing options available. So if you're interested in learning more about the SimpliLearn postgraduate program in cybersecurity, you can check out the link in my description to apply and find out more. And the next topic I want to discuss is scripting. So I'm sure I sound like a broken record when I bring up scripting in any of my cybersecurity videos, but honestly, it is definitely one of the best skills to have. Even if you may not be using scripting on a regular basis or an everyday basis, it can still be helpful if you're going into red teaming, or if you're automating something, you're writing a custom script, or even just having those skills and being able to read someone else's code or understanding what a script is doing. Because if you're seeing JavaScript for the first time, it honestly looks very confusing unless you have that background experience and you're able to understand what it's doing. So if you're a beginner and looking to get started in scripting, I recommend starting with Python, since it is definitely one of the easiest languages to learn in terms of syntax. Or you can start out with JavaScript, which is one of, if not the most popular languages to learn in cybersecurity, especially if you're going into red teaming or pen testing, because that's typically the language that you're going to see on the front end of most web applications out there. And the next thing is Kali Linux. So I know I covered command line and operating systems already, but hear me out. I do think Kali Linux is probably one of the most important things to learn, especially in cybersecurity. For one, it is free, so you can download Kali Linux and run it on your own machine for free using some kind of VM software, which there are open source options out there for VMware. And I'm not saying that you have to go and learn every single tool that is on Kali itself, but I do think that it's just nice to know what tools are out there and what you can use them for. So for example, the next time you do a hack the box or capture the flag or try hack me challenge, then you know what tool to kind of gravitate towards, or the types of tools out there to be able to fit your use case for whatever challenges that you're trying to solve for. And of course, just getting some experience using these tools can also be very helpful if you're able to use them, maybe get some experience with them and put them on your resume for future employers, so you would see that, hey, you've had experience using XYZ tools, and maybe those are the same ones that they also use on their red team or their pen testing team. And honestly, it just makes you look a lot more well-rounded when you're able to show a subset of skills or tools that you have that are niche to a specific role in cybersecurity that employers may be looking for, which also kind of ties into the next thing, which is hack the box and try hack me challenges. So these are personally how I got started with pen testing and getting into cybersecurity. I got started with a capture the flag that was hosted in my previous company. Honestly, that was my first time ever doing something like that. And I think one of the most beginner friendly ways to get started in pen testing or ethical hacking, if you're someone who's interested in going into that red team side, is through these challenges. Even if you're not someone who is necessarily interested in going into red team itself, I do think it's so very relevant to know what the actual thought process is behind a pen test or behind a red team assessment, so that whatever team that you do go into in cybersecurity, you kind of know the basics of what that process looks like, and also know what to expect when your applications are inevitably going to go through a pen test. And if you're completely new to cybersecurity, Try Hack Me and Hack the Box are websites that have free challenges that you can try, break into certain websites or certain boxes, or take advantage of some kind of exploit where they have a purposely vulnerable website or URL or endpoint that you're able to practice with, because it is not legal to actually practice or use those hacking tools on actual live websites that other people own. So definitely do not try and go out there to do that. But of course, these websites are here for you to do that kind of practice and gain that experience that you need without needing to get that first job or require that formal background. Alright, so that's it for this video. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments below, as well as any other cybersecurity foundational knowledge that you would also add to this list. Don't forget to check out the SimpliLearn postgraduate program in cybersecurity if you're someone who is interested and ready to start your career in cybersecurity. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and turn on post notifications. I post videos every Wednesdays and Sundays at 12 p.m. and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!